Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be making a three-dimensional card that's going to be shaped like the Paddington Bear's coat. I hope you'll stay tuned. Well, if you've never seen the Paddington Bear, I bought a pad of paper. Actually, I bought a pad and some ephemera from Craft Stash. I'll show you the pad. It's really cute, and if you have little kids that love the Paddington Bear, then you'll, I think, love these. This is what the paper pad looks like. Very colorful, has the images of the bear. Traditionally, the bear looks like this. He's wearing this coat always. He carries his luggage with his letters on it of his initials, and he wears this red hat. I'm not doing the initials on his briefcase, but I am trying to replicate most of his outfit. Keeping in mind, I'm winging this. Completely winging this, as you know, is my norm. You're going to start out with a piece of bright blue 5 by 10 inch paper. That's this. Let me get all this out of here because we don't really need this right now. We're going to need it, but not right now. Here's our paper. We are going to score this in two places. We're going to score it. Or did I tell you I made this up and I'm winging it? I'm just making sure I, one more time say that so that you're not saying to yourself, geez, Sandy, are you going to say that again? I might say it again. Okay. We're going to score it at 2.5 and at 7.5. Now, if you're not good at scoring at 7.5, you could rotate your paper around and score it at 2.5 again. If you're left-handed, I think you have better success scoring on the left side of your board. If you're right-handed, I think you have better success scoring on the right side of your board. It's up to you, but that's what I'm throwing there out to you. Then, because we can, we're going to score this at 1 inch. You'll figure that out in a minute. Well, you might not figure it out, but 1 inch, doesn't matter which end, because everything is the same score-wise except for that 1 inch score. As I said, rigged to this all by myself. And when I did it, I made a mock-up. Most people, when they make mock-ups, actually are serious about it. I, on the other hand, okay, it's insane, but that's what I did right there. You're saying to yourself, what is that, Sandy? That is my mock-up. It doesn't look right, but it is, in fact, my coat. So, let me tell you how I'm going to score this bad boy. You're going to score on these 2 score marks that we made that are at 2.5 and 7.5 inches. You're going to score down to that 1 inch score. Score to the, or cut to the outside so that you can maybe theoretically get rid of this score at some point. We don't really want to see that score once we've done our little project, but we're not going to cut it out. We're just going to do this. Okay? Then you're going to get your bone folder, or what I'll call just my hand, and I'm going to fold this down. And then I'm going to find my bone folder because this calls for serious work, serious projects. I've got it. Stuff's flying everywhere now. Oh boy. Oh boy. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to really do a good job of scoring. I don't know. I'll just keep making up words. I'm going to bone folder these down because I like the word bone folder versus burnish. Then I'm going to open it back up and I'm going to close it. In a minute you'll figure out that this becomes the coat. Well, what looks, in my mind, it looks like a coat. In your mind, it's going, kind of looks like a box or something, Sandy. All right. So, we want to make this so that this front part, well, I'm trying to contemplate how I want to do this because I did it differently on my mock-up, which, as you can see, is quite the project. Okay. So I think what I want to do, I look at my mock-up one more time. I folded those under and then I cut them. Okay, let's try that. Do I know if I'm doing this right? No. I don't know if I'm doing it right. All right. I'm folding those two front pieces in for right now. I'm going to play with them. Don't worry. We're going to make it work in a second. So that's what they look like right now. They're folded inside. Then I need to make shoulders out of them, but I don't want to cut this. I only want to cut this front section. So here's how we're going to do it. Keep in mind, as usual, I'm winging it. I'm going to make shoulders. So I'm going to start right about there, and I'm going to cut down like that to right there. And then I have to decide, I think I'm just going to cut that out because I made a collar, but my collar starts a different place, so I think I'm safe to cut that out. I made a mock-up. You know, I tried. Then I'm going to cut out the score line. Again, you're going to cut right up to that top piece, like that. Of course, my back is really wonky. I'm going to have to trim that a little bit to make it not look like a third grader cut it. Who am I kidding? A third grader cuts better than me. There! So that's what we want. Now, in order to make the collar of our coat, that's what's going to hold our coat closed. The way I'm going to do that, I got to decide where I want to start it. I think maybe I'll start it right there. Okay. We're going to fold this over. Hopefully you're with me. Do you see where I ended this point? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm going to cut, well, I need to cut straight up at my cut line. I'm going to cut straight up there. Or, you know, crooked like I am right now. I just need to be able to get in there. Then I'm going to cut from this point to there. You could use your trimming tool. You could do a ruler to make sure it's straight. But as you can see, I just winged it. Then we're going to have to do the other side. Now when you pull this down, you can see it becomes a collar. Well, in Sandyland it becomes a collar. In other lands it does not become a collar, but here in the land of whatever we're going to call this, it does become a collar. So then I want to, I wish I could fold it in half. It would be so much, well, okay, we're going to fold it in half for now. You know how I said it would be so much easier to fold it in half? I'm going to kind of fold it in half. I'm going to bend it in half because what I want is I want this piece over here to line up, this cut right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do that because I want it to be exactly the same as the right side. And since I just bent it, it should be fine. Or it might not be. It might be a horrible mess. But in the end, this might be one of those videos where you never see it because I've screwed the whole thing up. So then what I want to do is where this ends, which is about, get to the, oh, that was bad. Just ignore it. Just ignore that. Okay, now I need to, luckily I cut it at the right angle. That's really fortunate. I'm going to cut from my point at the bottom. And I'm going to cut right up again to where I just did that convenient snip. This is going to make the collar of our coat. You with me? I know it doesn't look like a coat. Don't tell anybody. I'm trying. It doesn't look like a coat yet. So then I don't need these anymore. I really wanted them just for the stability of making the coat. His coat is completely straight across the top from what I could see. And then it has this weird little collar on it. So we're doing exactly what he did, even though he didn't do anything. Whoever draws him, we're doing exactly, theoretically, what that person did. And I'm going to just kind of make his shoulders a little bit better. Okay. I know, again, still doesn't look like a coat, but it's gonna. It might never, but we're gonna try. Then we need to do, I'm gonna put those down in a second. I'm just gonna, hold on, let me just burnish those in place. And that way, hopefully it'll hold it close. Then I have pockets. I'm not putting them on yet, but I do have them. I'll tell you all these dimensions in a minute. That's those. Now, I'm going to get some navy blue ink, and then I'm going to go around those pockets just to make them stand out a little bit. I need 2 pieces of 4 inches, and in a minute I'll tell you how long or wide they are. They are, in fact, 1 inch wide. So you've got 2 pieces that are 4 inches by 1 inch. I think I said that. Yeah. These are going to be our sleeves. I know. It's shocking that this is going to turn into something real. But theoretically it is. I'm going to glue those onto my coat like a sleeve would be, but then I'm going to trim it at the top. You with me? Then, well, before I do that, I'm going to put a little bit of foam underneath it, because I figure if it has a little foam under it, it's going to look more like a sleeve. I'm going to use these little squares, and I'm going to start them. I'm going to start it near the top, but I'm probably going to have to move that one at some point. And I'm going to stagger them back and forth, because I don't need to put a million on here. And I might make them the whole thing shorter in the end. You know how it rolls. Keep in mind, I gave you the dimensions, right? Yes, I did. Don't kid me. I know I did. Then I'm going to lay this one. The other thing that's nice about this plan is that I'll be able to, if I want to, I'll be able to straighten out some of my boo-boos just by virtue of where I put my, ooh, that was bad. I have to go all the way to the top. And I'll explain why in a second. Okay, there is what we're calling our sleeve. So then from the back, see how I put that foam there? That was smart. Don't tell anybody I did that, because why would you? Keep it a secret. I'm just going to cut that out so that nobody can see Sandy's creative process. And now I've got to move that foam down, because now the foam is in the way and you can see it. Why, foam? Why did you have to play like that? Jeez. Okay. Now it's in a different place. Okay. On to arm number 2. I have pockets, but I think I want to do something so that my pockets stand out. And I have to also carry a briefcase. Here we go. So we're going to go in about the same distance, maybe 1/8 of an inch from, I'm trying to make my arms straight, or the same height as each other. And I'm going in about 1/8 of an inch from the side. I'll show you that again. You see the side over here? I'm about 1/8 of an inch. You see this side over here? Theoretically, it's about 1/8 of an inch. Now, we just need to turn it over and trim it again. Okay, now we have pockets. My pockets I think I made too big, but I also want them to stand out. I should have done the same thing with my sleeves, but I didn't. So we're going to do it with the pockets instead. What we're going to do is we're going to basically outline it in blue ink. You could take a marker to do this if you don't have an ink pad. It's not any kind of tricky thing. You just want to make sure that you've got some way to define your piece of pocket piece of pocket. You can also, if you wanted to, you could put something in your pocket. So it's up to you if you want to make your pocket a usable pocket or just a piece of paper. I feel the need to make mine a usable pocket. Why? I don't know. But we're going to go with that idea. And if it doesn't work, in the end, we'll probably have to just scrap it. I apologize if my light was in the way. This light has a tendency to go wherever it feels like. And so I think it did that just for part of that last video. And so if it's there, I apologize. If you want this pocket to be usable, as I said, all you're going to need to do is put tear tape around 3 edges. I'll show you this as soon as I get it tear taped. And then here's my other pocket, again with the inking. If you get ink all over the top like I did right there, here's what I'm going to do. I'm putting both of my pieces together, and I'm just going to cut off in my mind's eye. I'm going to do this straight. Okay, we're going with that idea that it's straight. Here's my plan. We're going to put some tear tape on the back of this one, tear tape on the bottom, and we've got ourselves pockets. Now if you want your pocket to have a little bit of an opening, we'll call it, I'll show you how to do that. If you don't care if it has an opening, then you can just lay it flat down, like lay it straight down. Flat down, straight down, just lay it. That's all. Make sure you've pushed in all of your tear tape if it sticks out from under. You don't want that to be sticking out. Okay, so if you want your piece, if you want your pocket to have a little bit of substance, when you go to lay it down, move this out of the way, I'm going to put this pocket, well, I think I'm going to lift up my sleeve a little bit if I can. Okay, I'm going to put my pocket right there, but before I lay down this right side, I'm going to kind of push in the middle of it a little bit so that we get a little bit of an opening. And then I'll put that sleeve back down. And we're just going to put this piece under this sleeve. How far close to the edge? Pretty close. How far down? Maybe that far? I'm eyeballing all this, as you can see. Okay. There's that sleeve. Then I have some other stuff that I want to put in this that I got to figure out what I did with. That's the sleeve. I know it looks crappy now. Don't worry. It'll look better at some point. So I found my red piece of paper. It should make everybody happy because it's red. And it matches his hat in his books. Here's what I did. Because you know I'm super skilled. Super skilled. Poorly skilled. I'm skilled in minimal ways. Here's what I did. I took one of these images. None of those, because the one that I had is very specific. It looked really like his hat. Well, we'll go with this one, but this isn't the one I used. Do you see this hat? Well, his hat, the one that I traced, looks very similar to that. And I thought it would be fun. Look out for all the falling pens. I thought it would be fun if I just traced his hat and we attached it to the top of his coat. Because why not, right? So, this is his hat. And I'm going to use a black marker to make sure that his hat has some kind of definition. Alright, so then I glued a piece of paper inside my coat that is 6 inches by 4 3/4 inches. Then all you need to do is you're going to close your coat up. From the back, you're just going to trim off the excess white. So just get rid of all that white. That side. And on this side. Okay. So that's those. Then I decided I'm going to have to make the sleeves more impressive because right now they're not completely impressive. So I'm taking the navy blue marker that matches the ink. This is Night of Navy from Stampin' Up. This is Night of Navy from Stampin' Up. You can use whatever color you want, but I'm just doing this so that I can be sure that my pieces match. And all I'm going to do is go around the edge of my coat sleeves because I want my sleeves to stand out from the coat. And you can do, you can not do this at all. If you want to ignore it, go ahead and ignore it. But I wanted it to stick out a little bit. There's one sleeve. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to work on those pockets because my pockets are having issues too. Why wouldn't they be? And I did make up a die cut that says hello, and I'm going to figure out where that went because I made it so it's 4 layers, I think, 3 layers, 4 layers. It's in red. I want to put it on my coat so that it's not something that it takes away from all this blue. But his coat is only blue except for the little toggles on it. And wait till you see my toggles. I'm a toggler. Okay, so I wanted to show you how I made the little, we'll call them toggles. What I did was I took a pencil on just this regular paper. I'll just do it on one edge. And I drew one. I'm just going to make a random shape. Then I cut that one out. And then, from there, keep in mind this one isn't perfect. I'm just showing you the system that I used. Then what I did is, after I got it to the shape I liked, this clearly is a wonky shape, so I'll have to fix that. Okay. Then, after I got one that I said, okay, this one will work. So then what I did was I'd lay it down on the paper and I traced it. Now I traced 12 of these because I wanted them to be as thick as I could make them. I'm going to make this dark so you can see it hopefully. So I drew it like that. I cut them out and then I glued them together. Then I wrapped some black yarn that was horrible around it. I think you would really want to go with lighter, as like a twine almost in black. And if you don't have a black twine, if you have a white twine, you could always roll it in your black ink pad to make it so it isn't so white. But mine I really struggled with because this yarn was so thick. And it had all kinds of flyaway threads on it. It was horrible. So then what I did was I took hot glue and I hot glued onto the back, you can't really see it, pieces of Velcro. And you'll see it in a second. This is the back side. I did a double piece of Velcro. And I'm just going to do both of those side by side, hopefully. And then, hopefully not burning myself, I want to put these on either side of the coat, lined up so that they're straight as I can get them. Because again, it's Velcroed, so we should be able to rip them back off to open my card. You with me? Rip it open. Then I have the same thing. I have double pieces of Velcro on this, and I'm just Putting some hot glue on the back of it. I already hot glued the other half of my Velcro piece to the back of my toggle. This is the kind of thing that you would see on an old-fashioned raincoat, these toggles. They're wooden, basically, buttons. Now, mine doesn't look great, but that's, again, because of that thread. I'm going to let it set up for a second. I showed you how I did the hat. I just free-handed a hat, then I cut it out, and then I went around it with a black marker to make it stand out a little bit more on my edges. See, I wanted to make it so that you could really tell that it was outlined. So I just did that all the way around my hat so that my hat was distinctive and hard to believe it still looked like a hat. I was pretty sure it wouldn't look like a hat when I was done. But that's how I did the hat. I'll keep messing with it till it's useless looking. Then the hello was a die that I had, and I layered 2 or 3 of the hellos on top of each other and glued them down. I love you so much and let's celebrate together. Those were both from an old Stampin' Up! Retired rub-on that you, well, you know how rub-ons work. Anyway, that's what I do with those. So then, let's see if I can open my coat. So what you're going to have to do, you don't have to take off both of these. Let's just hope that one of my pieces of Velcro comes off, like that, on both sides, because we want to be able to take off enough of the Velcro, well, a piece of Velcro on the same side, like that, so that we can open the card. I'm not sure what's stuck here, but something is stuck. There we go. Okay, so inside, I used a piece from the same paper pad that I bought from craftstash.uk. It's all Paddington Bear. It also came with some, well, it didn't come with, but you could also buy an additional pack of little different Paddington Bears. And I thought it'd be fun in the inside of this coat to just put a couple more Paddington Bears. So that's what I'm going to do next, so that we have a theme that's cohesive. I'm looking for my glue stick, which didn't want to play with me yet. I thought this coat would be cuter than I think it turned out to be. You might like it. I was disappointed. Sorry. Sometimes you're just disappointed in what you do. This says Happy Father's Day. I told you where I got the Happy Father's Day from. I'm trying to make him so he stays, or so he's not too wide for this piece of my card. I just want him to stick down and not go off the edges. Because, you know, sometimes things go off the edges with me. I'm not crazy about this Paddington Bear with the more of a, I don't know, scribbly look, because his colors aren't as sharp as this one. So that's the inside of our card. Then you're going to close it back up, and look, I used really bad pieces of Velcro, but I kind of went with the idea that nobody's going to be looking at that, because when the card is closed like this, no one's going to see it. You know what I'm saying? There we go. So I decided not to do I didn't want to put the hat up here because it's a 5x7 card at this point. It will fit in a 5x7 envelope. If I had put the hat up here and made it look like he was looking down, then you would have never been able to tell that this was, you know, no. You would have never been able to get it in the 5x7 envelope. So that's where we're rolling with that. I have a couple more things I wanted to do before I finished, and that was I wanted to outline the top of the card where I have the his coat collar, because I think the coat collar is gets a little bit lost in the translation. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. And then I also think I want to do a little bit around the bottom of my coat. I'm bummed that I have all this weird glue on the edges that you can kind of see. That bugs me. I didn't want to have glue, but these things happen, so we live with it. I think these weird little lines you add really change the card so it looks more like a coat, because it adds the dimension just by where it leads your eye. You know what I'm saying. These look horrible, and again, it's back to the yarn I used, but I'm not going to think about that at all. I'm going to go with it as is. So I hope that I gave you an idea of how to make a Paddington Bear coat, or basically any coat. You could make this into, if you wanted to, you could turn it into a tuxedo just by changing up the top and putting a bow tie right there. You could do whatever you want, but it is in fact a coat, and it's a coat card. So I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media, because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.